YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with the 5 best moves of 2021 NFL free agency so far. Moves to be made still. We'll have a separate video with the best signings, in my opinion, the biggest steals of free agency, the sleeper signings, best sleeper signings, and then maybe we'll break down some of the worst moves and worst signings as well. And then later on, we'll have biggest winners and losers by team and a lot of NFL draft content on deck. We had a recent mock draft go up with trades updated, a lot of new prospects sneaking in the second round. So check it out. For all that content, subscribe, turn notifications on, follow our Twitter for breaking news and constant NFL talk. Check out walkthemock.com. You see underneath me, use code GOATHOUSE if you sign up. Link pinned in the comments for anything that you need. Here's our Twitter, just constantly talking about everything here. So check it out at GOATHOUSE NFL. Number 5, best move. Just a trade. It kind of looked like a small trade here, but the Lions come in at number 5. This Michael Brockers trade was fantastic. An absolute steal of a move here within this free agency. They traded a 2023 7th-round pick for something they desperately needed. They needed interior help back. The last time they had interior, player like this, it's been a long, long time. So they needed to upgrade their big time, and they went ahead and did that, and they traded basically nothing away. I can't believe more. I would have thrown a better pick just to beat the Lions and get, feels like they're just making deals, from Rams GM to the new GM of the Lions, who was formerly with the Rams there. I don't know. Looks like they're making friendly deals there. So yeah, this was an absolute steal. Obviously not a good move for the Rams. They get a big time defensive tackle there. Definitely a solid upgrade. Yeah, I'm still stunned about this because his talent level is probably a 3rd round value at worst. You factor in leverage. The Rams had to clear some space. Yeah, sure, it can drop down a little bit, but 2023 7th, ridiculous. I thought this is one of the best moves that we've seen in free agency so far. And again, in this video, we're not focusing on one signing, specific signings. Anything could be kind of involved in here. We'll have a separate video for my favorite specific signings. Number 4, best move is going to be the Titans. I like making pass rush a priority. I love that because it's one of the most important things in football. We saw the Buccaneers win off that. A little sketchy at first. You're kind of letting some, offensive players go, but you didn't want to overspend there because you could upgrade for a lot cheaper in the draft. But you can't just say that. You got to put it to work and you got to execute. And they did that. They upgraded the pass rush big time. It's night and day from where it was last year. Bud Dupree was my number 2 player in free agency. He creates for the rest of the team, also gets production himself. And they had AUTRY, who I think is a really good pickup for them. He had production kind of playing out of position in the Colts 4-3 defense. He fits in at a 3-4 defense, at a 3-4 end. That's where he'll play with the Titans. So on both levels, they add pass rush, and I think making pass rush a priority. That is it's what you have to do. It's what every team should be doing. It doesn't depend on the scheme. Every team, the pass rush is one of the most important things in football. It's the most, not even debatable, the most important thing of a defense. So I really like this move, the angle the Titans took here. So they come in at number 4. They're also able to make more moves because of this. So this kind of expands. They let Corey Davis walk to get Josh Reynolds. It's a downgrade. It's a good replacement, though. And you also can draft a guy on top of that. So you really could turn it into a better receiver unit with cheaper while spending on some stud players and making them one of the most important things in football better, and that's the pass rush. So I really liked the idea of the Titans offseason here. Started off, again, a little scary, but it worked out so far, and I don't think they're done yet. We're only through the first wave. Number 3, Cleveland Browns, building that secondary up. I like this for that, for them. I am a fan of investing in terms of the pass rush. They have that with the first overall pick, Myles Garrett. They have Sheldon Richardson. They've added some other pieces, but they can invest in that with a high draft pick because, if you get there's a lot of young potential guys, in that range of the draft, and that's a perfect fit. They can become a Myles Garrett, with the right team. And I think, this defense with Myles Garrett, what they built secondary, it actually makes a lot of sense. The secondary they just couldn't cover. Some of them could, but it made the better guys, their job harder as well. There just wasn't enough speed out there. They go out and get a Rams duo. They get John Johnson and Troy Hill because this team wants to contend right now, and I think they did that, with adding these pieces. They're not done yet, of course, but I really like the angle they took, and I thought they got a lot better with this move here. So they didn't really have a lot invested in the secondary, already. So it made sense. I don't want team to invest too much in the secondary, where you're not really focused on the pass rush in general, not just edge rush. But that wasn't the case here. So I really like, and what I really like too is they're not afraid to be better. I always say that you can't be afraid to get better, and they had an opportunity to be afraid, because they have guys, like Grant Delpit. With Greedy Williams, I still expect to play. I expect both these guys to play still, but they could have said, hey, we drafted Grant Delpit. He's a free safety. That can move around a bit. He's free safety, but we went and just got the best free safety in free agency. Not to mention that factors into this as well is these are really good contracts, John Johnson and Troy Hill. That also factors in this move altogether. Very good contracts, very good steals in a way. But yeah, they upgrade over Grant Delpit. He'll still play. They'll find ways to get him on the field, but he's not going to have that crazy high of a snap count because they weren't afraid to get better. Too many teams and even fans are like that. Well, we got this young guy. Yeah, we can get a better guy. We got this young guy. Let's see how that works. Let's develop him. If you're trying to win now, go win now. So that's always been my mentality. It's always something I push, and the Browns they're on board with that, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that. Number 2, give me the Buccaneers, just fresh off a Super Bowl, and number 2 on the best moves list here. It's keeping the band together. There's teams where it's almost you shouldn't keep the band together for a lot of teams because that kind of can take away from getting better in general. Sometimes you got to let guys walk to get better, but the Buccaneers were a team that needed to keep the group together because they kind of get better with it. Kind of feels like a new team still, even though they're fresh off a Super Bowl, and the guys just gain that chemistry and continue to get better. SHAQ Barrett is the big piece of this, and he's continuing to get better. Huge piece of that defense. I think a key here, which is kind of part of this, a great move here, so a lot plays into this. I think it starts with this. I think tagging Chris Godwin and signing SHAQ Barrett was the key. There was a lot of talk about that. Do we tag Barrett? Do we sign Godwin? A lot of people thought they would go that route, and I was saying they can't go that route, and this is why. Because if they sign Godwin, even before free agency, into a long-term deal, he probably would have got more than what he got at the franchise tag. And SHAQ Barrett would have definitely got more on the franchise tag than what he got. It was a great deal what they signed him for. Way less of a, I would think he would have got more offers elsewhere. He probably did. So that, I think, triggered it. And they brought back Levante David. They knew what they were working with there, and they brought CRONK back, even though he had offers elsewhere. So kind of keeping the band together and making some really good deals, really good contracts. So all that makes it number 2 here. Number 1, give it to the Patriots, making a tight end position the unit elite again. I don't know if people are realizing what the Patriots did with this. I thought it was surprising when they got Hunter Henry because they already got Jonnu Smith, but all of a sudden I think people were like forgetting what they did here. They made a ridiculous group. They haven't had that much success with receivers. They added some receivers, but they haven't had big time success. Even when they were good, they had great tight end play. It was a unique offense, tough to match up with. Receivers weren't taking over the game. I guess we go far back as Randy Moss maybe, and they had, Edelman was good in his prime, but they weren't really the take over guys that are going to make or break the team. Huge impact, but I think going back to Patriots ball, with the, stud tight ends, and we're talking about stud tight ends. Jonnu Smith's still getting better. You can use him anywhere, almost like an H-back as well. Hunter Henry can play in line, very good contested catcher, great hands. Both of them great red zone targets, getting the ball anyway. We talked about the tight ends. I talked about both these guys leading up to free agency. Why are teams going to be chasing these guys? Why are they going to be paying them big money? Because everyone's looking for those mismatched tight ends. They want defenses to struggle out a game plan. Patriots got both of them. They got both the top guys. I don't know how teams are going to game plan for this. I mean, yeah, it would help if you had a little more confidence in the quarterback throwing them the ball, who's throwing the ball, but it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for teams, how to game plan for this. It's going to open things up for everything. It's going to open things up for the passing game themselves, the other receivers, the running game, everything. So I don't think people are realizing how dangerous this duo is and what they did. They spent a bit of money But I thought that was right where their value was. Teams are looking for this. They other teams were interested. They took both of these guys. So I thought this was a huge move. For Patriots ball specifically. Making that tight end group elite. It's going to be good. I've always been a Cam fan, but I'm not really a big fan of his game right now. If he's going to play better with a group like this. It's just all about the game plan, just mismatch problems. But if they can get a solid quarterback, legit quarterback that's consistent throwing the ball, they're going to be very scary. It could be the top contender again. It could be because they're getting a lot of opt-outs back. They're pretty much completing the team. I think it started with this offseason, so I thought this was it's pricey, but I don't, Hunter Henry has had some injuries, but I don't really see a ton of risk in this. Like, these guys are going to ball out for them. So I'm really excited about that. I'm surprised that nobody has this, high up on like the wow. I'm surprised more people aren't talking about this. So we're still in free agency, moves still to be made. So that's probably why. But these were the top moves. Again, we'll do a video like this for specific signings that I like. We'll do one for steals, sleeper signings that could end up being big time. Maybe some of the worst moves. There's a lot of really good signings out there. There's some impact signings that I don't really like the contracts for, so that kind of plays a part as well. Honestly, not a whole bunch of teams that are in general big winners. Some teams, made a collection of moves like this. Some teams, had good moves, bad moves. Some teams did a whole bunch of nothing. Some teams did, didn't do what I wanted them to do this offseason. So there's actually not a bunch of big winning teams so far this free agency. But, more signings and definitely some big trades I think are coming here. So that could definitely change pretty quickly, and we'll have you covered here on the channel and instantly on Twitter, so make sure you check that out. Link in the comments for anything you need, but make sure you subscribe, turn notifications on, smash that like button. A lot on the way, covering the rest of free agency and the NFL draft. Cannot wait for that. It's actually almost a month away, so that's ridiculous. We'll have you covered for that. So really excited. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.